Hello, everyone. We'll give it another minute while people are coming in. We'll start in about a minute. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Depends where you are in the world. And we're starting our webinar. The title is Roundtable Trading Discussion. And I want to welcome everyone. And the agenda of the webinar is pretty much simple. We'll ask questions, we'll discuss it, and try to analyze specific instruments that the audience has questions about. A few things about myself. This is me, Simon Friedman. I'm one of the senior account managers with AvaTrade. My overall experience, not to brag about it, about over 22 years. I was trading as a professional prop trader, day trader back in New York for about 11 years. And after that, I moved on to mentoring and educating other traders. And of course, I never stopped trading myself. I'm currently working with customers with AvaTrade. These are the channels that I recommend you subscribe to. A lot of information. You have Twitter, you have Telegram, and of course, YouTube. A lot of things are being recorded on a daily basis. You can subscribe and click on that bell. You'll be notified when things are coming in. And most of the webinars are being recorded and posted there. So if anybody has issues with timing with the live webinars, most of the webinars are being posted after being recorded to the YouTube channel. And of course, the risk warning, you can find the full document at avatrade.com. And what we do here, purely educational. We're not suggesting any trades, of course. Okay, so let's move on. I'm gonna open the MT4. I also have MT5 in case we need it. And I want everybody to be open and active. You have a question about specific instrument, you don't be shy, just ask. We'll try to discuss it together. We'll try to look at the charts. If there are any fundamentals that we know, we'll share as well. And let's just be active. Okay, so let's get ready. Let's go. Also, just to make sure that I'm not talking to myself, if you can write in the question window that you can hear me and that you can see the chart, that would be great, please. Okay, thank you very much, Eric. Okay, so let's start with questions. I'm sure more people will be joining us because somehow people are being late, even though this is the second time that I moved the webinar an hour later. Just hoping that will be more convenient to people, but they're still coming late for some reason. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Feel free, guys. Okay, so you are trading, I assume. You have some trading instruments that you trade, and you have some trading instruments that you'd like to know more about and have some questions. So let's start with it. Just give you an example. You would like to know something about a certain stock or certain index or certain currency pair or commodity or anything like that. So feel free. Let's go with questions. And again, just want to repeat, the moment we run out of questions, we're going to close the webinar. This webinar, it's not just information that I'm here to share with you. It comes from you. Demand comes from you. You bring the topics in. So let's go with the first question with the first instrument, guys. The pause is very, very long. It's either you don't hear me, which it's not the case. Eric confirmed that you can hear me. Guys, if you don't have any questions, I will be not very happy, but I will have to say goodbye and close the webinar. So let's be more active. No stock market rally yet, Eric. What do you mean? What's the question? Okay, while Eric is thinking about the question that he wants to ask, somebody's asking about GBP JPY is rising today, that Tony is asking. Any thoughts as to why that might be, please? Okay, let's take a look at GBP JPY. Here it is. Okay. So it is rising. And great, we have already more questions. So Tony, I'd like to always, again, I'll always explain it to the audience that the purpose of trader, one of the purposes is to become independent thinker. So, and that's why, partially why I created this webinar, that we can discuss things and understand that collecting information is an amazing thing, and the group sharing is an amazing thing. At the end, the trader needs to collect as much information as he can, not to overload himself, of course, but still the final decision is made by his observation and his digesting all the information. So, Tony, let me ask you first, why do you think the GBP JPY is moving? And obviously you're watching that pair and you have some personal opinion on it. So Tony, what do you think is causing the pound yen to move? Tony, don't be afraid. Just say your opinion, whatever it is. Don't be shy. There's no wrong questions and no wrong answers and no stupid questions. So GBP JPY, Tony, why do you think it's moving higher? Your opinion, and I'll share with you what the chart speaks. Okay. I guess Tony's not answering his own question. That's fine. Oh, he does. Okay. In all honesty, I don't know today. It's been a busy day and haven't had the chance to follow. Great. See, that's a very honest answer. I think we can all relate to it. Sometimes we just don't have a chance to check. And I'm not sure if there are actually any fundamental things. The one thing today is that the dollar is weak, the US dollar. And again, when we talk about Forex, it's important to look at the US dollar first, what it does. And as you could see, after yesterday's move to the upside, we are selling today on the US dollar. So a pair like GBP JPY, it's cross. It doesn't, anything that doesn't have a dollar in it, it's a cross pair. So we don't have direct connection to a dollar, but if you can take a look at dollar yen, the dollar, even though its dollar is being weak today against the major currency, is being very strong against yen, right? It's a second positive day, and if you take other major currencies, they are much stronger against the dollar today, both pound and euro dollar, right? So it's in a simple way to answer your question. It looks like the major currencies, that includes euro, pound, even New Zealand dollar is strong today, and Australian dollar looks very strong today. I think it's the strongest currency today, the Australian dollar. So all those currencies are strong against the US dollar, but yen is being weak. So you have pound on the other side, it's much stronger than the dollar today, and the yen on the opposite side is much weaker than dollar. So you have, it's a double impact in a way. You have the strength of the pound and the weakness of the yen. And if we bring this pair, that's why you see a very strong move up. Okay, that's one thing. And that's pure technical. It could be some fundamental reasons as well. Another thing that we can kind of observe, if you look at the weekly chart, we bounce off the 100-week moving average. And if you see on the daily, we are below all the averages here. So this move is strong. We are making, if you zoom out on the hourly chart, we keep on going higher since pretty much opening of the European session, and there's no pullback at all. Okay, so again, the reason, the strength of the pound and the really significant weakness of the yen today. And it's normal because if you take dollar yen, it really had a nice, yen had a nice run since the high levels here back in October. And then we reached the level here. This is the daily chart. We reached the level of 130.39. And I spoke about it today in my reviews to my team. And I said that the dollar might be bouncing from this level. So the yen is super weak today. Okay, I hope that was helpful, Tony. Now, looking at tech stocks. So Eric, I just want to make sure that I understand your question. Still, I'm not clear. So you're asking that the tech stocks are not running? Do you talk about? You're welcome, Tony. Are you talking about any specific tech stocks? Are you talking about general market rally? Please just write specific things. And meanwhile, I will address the question of Mavis. Mavis is asking about crude oil, and it's a big paradox today in crude oil, and I'll explain what I mean. Crude oil is really selling today. It's the second selling day on crude oil, and it just fundamentally it doesn't make sense. Okay, a few things. You have indices are running today. If you take S&P 500, a nice positive day. You have DAX is running very strong, second, a very strong day. So you have global equities are running, and China is running as well. It's a strong day on China, which is very strong. It has a strong effect on crude oil as one of the biggest users of it. But the oil is going down. So fundamentally, it doesn't make sense. But I learned from one of my friends back on Wall Street. He said, "You trade not what you think, you trade what you see." I still argue with that a little bit, but if you see it's really, really weak. The oil is super weak here, and we might continue even lower here. So why is it going down? I really don't know. Maybe somebody knows something. Maybe there's a huge inventory piling up. Maybe somebody knows that, you talk about trading, they call it speculation, right? Sometimes manipulation. So who knows? Maybe OPEC is about to raise the production level. Maybe something else is happening, but it's, any market, it's a supply and demand. It's either, in this case, the supply is huge or demand is potentially drying up, which is also a possibility, as a lot of talks around the market that we are entering or we are already in the recession, which initially triggered this selling in oil. So that's one of the reasons. And it looks like we're holding this previous level from which we made a high. The low here was 73.31, and today we hit 73, even below 72.88, but then we bounce. So if you're watching the oil, you might want to see this level held, because from here we made a high, so we broke the trend in a way. And we are holding that level. So that's kind of for the future. Are tech stocks overvalued? Okay, Eric, thanks for clarifying. Are they overvalued? It's hard to say, because if you take Tesla, today is actually very strong. It's up today about, you don't need to guess. Yesterday's closed was 107.88. We're trading at 112, 113. So it's actually, they call it oversold. It was all over the news today. They said that Tesla is oversold. Are they overvalued? It could be, but if you look at this, some stocks that had the recent selling, they're really moving higher. Facebook is moving higher today. Tesla is moving higher today. If you take other big tech stocks, Microsoft is selling today, and so on. It's hard to say what overvalue is. If you can measure it by price or PE ratio, you can measure it by technically some traders just look at RSI or stochastic and they measure it as oversold, overbought. So it's all about individual stocks and the financial situation there and so on. Okay, if you take Warren Buffett, and one big part of his success, he's looking for value companies. It's not about undervalued, overvalued. He's looking for something that has a steady growth, not jumps like from $1 per share earnings to $8 per share and then negative dollar. So it's a very broad subject, overvalued. It depends how you look into it. Okay, I hope that answered that question. Okay, guys, next question, next instrument. Let's move on. What else do we want to know about? You can ask more questions, guys. Whoever ask already, if you'd like. It's better than pausing. So I'm ready for the next answer. Sorry, for the next question whenever you are. You're welcome, Eric. Anybody? Going once. Gold. Thank you very much. Gold is very strong today, and that's partially it's either in reaction to dollar or in possible. By the way, just to remind everyone, today we have FOMC minutes, or I don't know if it's the minutes or just the announcement. It's a very serious effect on the market every time the Feds are talking about monetary policy or any plans for the future. So in anticipation of that, today dollar, as I showed to you, is weak and gold is very, very strong. And in general, metals are. So if you take gold, you take platinum, and I'm not sure about silver. Silver sometimes has its own game. But gold, the question was about gold. It is strong. And I think when we see, I think it's about in an hour and 40 minutes that announcement comes from the US. And gold might continue higher or erase today's gain. It looks like this is the 4-hour chart. It looks like after this run, we are cooling down a little bit over here. And if you take a look in the daily chart, we are approaching this level. I just want to explain the level from which the sell-off started right here. Just get to it. Okay, right here, if you could see. After this drop back in June 13, then we came back, we tried to return, and then we faced the resistance on the 200 moving average. And the high here was 1857.54. So let's just draw the line there. Okay. 1857.54, almost. Okay, and take a look, interestingly, and that's why the traders really love to use levels, because for some strange reason, of course, nothing is strange. Take a look where we stopped today's move. I don't believe in coincidence, but we're actually facing the same level of resistance that we experienced before the drop right here. Okay, so the question is, will we go higher? Could be. As you can see, that level represents very serious fight between bulls and the bears. Take a look how we really were fighting over that level for days and weeks, and then finally we couldn't break it again to the upside, and it was sold. Again, there are fundamental things. The level or the chart is just the reflection of course. But if you understand the chart a little bit, and if you know how to approximately draw the levels, sometimes it could be helpful. So again, gold is facing resistance here around 1860, from which we sold. If we do break through this level, we might retest these levels here that we had 2 consecutive weeks we couldn't break. Take a look. 1878.87, 1877.40. 1 point difference. 2 weeks we were fighting over this level and then we sold. So if we do break, and if the Feds are helping us today, we might see the move to around 1877, 1878, and then see what happens next. We can just easily go through it. We can experience a hardship breaking through that level, or we might even reverse from the current level, which represents the previous strong level from which we sold at. Okay, Eric? Okay, so Tony's saying, first time I've been able to attend the webinar today. Notice you have the volume display. Do you rate the volumes as significant or the empty? I just have the volume. The truth is I don't really pay much attention to it. Some traders like it. It just sits there. It's just one of the templates that I have. I don't really pay big attention to volume, because in today's days, yeah, if you trade, when I came to trade in the year 2000, and we had the level 2 by trading Nasdaq stocks, or later on I trade New York Stock Exchange stocks. So the volume was real. What I mean, you actually saw every trade on New York Stock Exchange, and it was real. You could actually take the volume into consideration. Today, there's so many exchanges, there's so many electronic exchanges, there's so many dark pools and executions of the order behind the scene that volume that we see not necessarily reflects the real picture. So I'm just speaking from the experience. It's a good thing if you add to other things, but just judging by the volume and expecting it to be accurate these days, it's not 100%. Okay, good question, Tony. Okay, so we spoke about gold. Any other questions, guys? Please feel free. And Tony, being first today, you're entitled to more questions. Go ahead. Just kidding. Of course, feel free to ask more questions. Okay, guys, we're doing well. We've been online for about 25 minutes. We still have time. And I'm ready for more questions if you are. Thank you, Tony. Anytime. Going once. Last time it worked. Let me try again. Going once, going twice. And do we have another question? Sounds like a guy from the auction. No? No more questions. Okay, guys. I hope it was useful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Feel free to attend our other webinars. We have a lot of webinars going on. You can find them up. I personally do a webinar. It's being out, I think, every Sunday, called Your Weekly Trading Plan. And then I kind of prepare presentation for some important instruments, fundamentally and technically. You're more than welcome to join that as well. Yes, Tony, this will be a normal time for now, but as you're asking the question, in your opinion, is this a good time to do a webinar? Because I'm trying to find the ideal time that more people can attend. So what do you think, Tony? Or all of you guys, if you have, if you want to share your opinion about this time, we're talking about 5 p.m. London time. Now it's also GMT, I think it's the same. So is this a good time? prefer 4. I tell you the truth, we did it 4, and it didn't work because people mentioned 5. They prefer 5, so that's why we moved. I'm not. I'm sure I'm not going back to 4. So this is going to be the time. I might consider even going later if we're having a hard time getting more people to this time, but not the 4 o'clock. Sorry about that, Eric. Okay. So next week, same time, same place. I want to thank you guys. I want to wish everyone a successful week. Keep in mind we have FOMC minutes coming, and we have NFP numbers on Friday, which are very important for the market decisions and directions. All the best, guys. Have a wonderful evening.